Hi, everyone. Welcome to week 7, part 2 of data journalism. Today, we're going to talk about Google Trends, a tool that you can use to track and create a graphic of traffic in Google, what terms people are searching for in Google. I'm going to need you to pause the video and open up this little lecture here, and then open up this little Google Trends assignment exercise. So open up both of those. All right, welcome back. First, we're going to play through a little slideshow on Google Trends. If you want to open Trends, go to trends.google.com, Trends, plural, .google.com, or google.com/trends will get you there as well. And I'm going to play through this little slideshow. I don't show a lot of slideshows in class, but this is a really good one as far as working through how Google Trends works. Then we'll play with the tool a little bit. We'll look at some examples of what you can do with it. It's a lot of fun. So trends.google.com. This is a tool that's been around for a few years now, a little over a decade. It actually tracks Google traffic all the way back to 2004. It's a giant database that Google has used for years to measure what people are searching for in Google. So if it's 10 a.m. on a Tuesday and I type into google.com the name Donald Trump, it records in that database that someone in Chicago searched for Donald Trump at 10 a.m. on Tuesday, whatever it is, December 17th or whatever. So in that giant database, Google has used that for years to improve its search algorithm. And it was used internally for a very long time until some developers got together and said, hey, maybe we can take this database, make it outward facing, so users can go in and make queries of the data. Who was searched more during the 2016 election, Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump? Or who was searched more during the 2020 election, Biden or Trump? Or you can compare, all of the shoe brands to each other. Nike, or the sports shoe brands, I should say. Nike, New Balance, Adidas, Under Armour, and so on. There are 5 billion plus searches per day on Google. That's a lot of searches. It allows you to find and compare search terms and topic, and you can visualize them into graphics with no coding. So you can do little line charts with them. There's even some maps. The database is updated every 3 to 4 minutes. The granularity on it, you can get it down to minute by minute granularity. You can also look at it over hours, days, weeks, months, years. I'll explain the y-axis here in a little bit, but we'll look at some examples here first. There was a sit-in outside of the House of Representatives on June 23rd, 2016. This is about 5 years ago. And it was a sit-in about gun control. And people were live streaming it over Periscope. This is a little app that Google, Twitter now owns, that allows you to do live streaming. Okay, Periscope it's called. So people were searching for Periscope sit-in because they wanted to see the live stream from this protest. So as you can see here, nobody was really searching this term. It was pretty flat until the 23rd. It looked like it peaked right here around 10 p.m. Eastern time, and then began to tail off as the protest ended. But it looks like right around 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock that day, it started to get some traffic, and then it peaked. It's kind of hard to tell without the y-axis here, and I'll get to that in a minute. But nothing too exciting here. It's just it tells you that somebody was searching for that term quite a bit during that period of time. Where it does get interesting is where you can compare terms. This is one I did also in 2016 when the Cubs won the World Series. Way to go, Cubs. I did U.S. searches. You can get it all the way down to the city and state level, but you can do world, by country, which, how's Algeria searching on, certain topics, or, how's Russia searching on certain topics. I did U.S., Cubs versus Cleveland Indians, and it was pretty much Cubs Nation. Everybody was searching for the Cubs more than they were the Indians, except in one state, to no surprise, Ohio. Over here on the right is the line chart. And we see here, the different spikes here, the different games of the World Series. Game 7's right here. That's when the Cubs reached their peak search, 100. Think of it as 100%. That was their peak search period. It's not 100,000 or 100 million. It's actually a normalization. So the peak is right here at 100. Over here's the Cubs parade. Happened a few days later. Election Day is right over here. Election Day 2016 is right over here. So it peaked here. Everything else kind of feeds off this peak. So the Indians were less than 25% as popular in Google search the night of Game 7. Okay. Same with most of these others. It was, about a third as popular. They caught up a little bit over in here, games 2 and 3, which they won. The Indians, had some momentum. I should say, games 3 and 4 they won. So you can see the line chart here. It kind of lays out, the story. Cubs were heavily searched in the 2016 World Series over the Cleveland Indians. Okay, you can also do this with breaking news stories. Those of you that may have remembered when Mike Pence went to see the play Hamilton, the cast came out at the end of the play and dressed down he and his family at the end of the performance. Kind of attack their political point of view, that type of thing. And that was, a very widely searched topic, Hamilton and Pence, Trump and Hamilton, that type of thing. It happened on a Thursday night, so Thursday evening into Friday morning, it was all over the news. It was all over the morning talk shows. It was very heavily searched. This graphic I have here was created by Asa Bennett, a journalist in London, and it starts at 1 p.m. that Friday. And Trump University announced that day that they had settled a $25 million lawsuit. It was a class action lawsuit against Trump University. And so it hit peak search right here, right around 1:15 this would be in the afternoon on Friday. But look what happens here, how that search term begins to drop. It spikes one more time, but around 2 o'clock. But then it steadily drops. And then the older story, which is the Hamilton story, which is by this point about 18 hours old, is starting to spike and starts to push up toward the top of the search chain. You don't see this. Usually it's more current stories that are trending over older stories. And what had happened was right around 1:45, Trump started to tweet about the Hamilton cast and Pence and things like that. And that shifted this search. A very powerful Twitter account can drive people to go and search for things. They went into Google News and started searching Trump and Hamilton. We could have put Pence Hamilton in here too and maybe tracked it over a day and a half. It would have been really interesting to see. And then, Trump Hamilton overtakes it in search for the, pretty much the whole afternoon that Friday. Okay, all the way up till about 4:30, 5 o'clock over here. Okay, and here's the graphic that Asa Bennett tweeted. He's the one who created it. Look at the last 4 hours on Google. Shows how fast Trump forces Hamilton spat to the top of the agenda over Trump U. And he got a lot of likes and retweets on this. This was a very interesting analysis of a breaking news story. So you can do this. You can look at a national or international story and use these little pull-down menus here. Instead of searching the last 4 hours, you could do the last 24. Instead of searching the United States, you can do Illinois or Chicago or another city. You can go from web search to Google Shopping, YouTube, or Google Images. Has various categories as well that you can search through. So this is where it gets interesting, where you can make these comparisons. You can compare up to 5 things on a list. This is an interesting one. This is before the pandemic, obviously. The measles versus the flu. You see the flu's very cyclical here. This is over a period of 3 or 4 months. The flu searches are cyclical, and that's the red line. Flat line is the measles until there's an outbreak in early January of 2015. Boom. It actually surpassed the number of searches on the flu. If you do nothing else today, follow at Google Trends. Okay, this is by far Google's best Twitter account. At Google Trends shares in near real time breaking trending stories. And you can localize these. Some of these are national and international stories, but you can take and see how people are searching it in Chicago or Illinois. It's a good way to come up with ideas for your Google Trends assignment. This one was on the South Carolina church shooting. You can see the hashtag here, South Carolina. It was a U.S. search, and it found the most popular questions people were asking Google about the church shooting. And if you notice here, some of the basic questions that we ask as journalists: who, what, when, where, why, how much. Kind of like interviewing data. So these are typically the type of questions people type into Google on a breaking news story. We saw this with the Las Vegas shootings. We've seen it with Brexit. We've seen it with the pandemic. Many other types of breaking stories. People phrase these questions very similarly. So that was an interesting find there. Well, the best way to learn how to use Google Trends is to actually play around with it. So I'm going to demo how you use it. So go to trends.google.com. It's plural, trends.google.com. It always has some example graphics up here at the top. They've been up there forever. Who searched more, Taylor Swift or Kim Kardashian? That type of thing. They're interesting to look at. They also have the year in search here. I'm doing this in late 2021. So these are the most popular search terms by topic over the past year, calendar year. Movies, music, memes, all kinds of things. Bernie Sanders mittens were a big one. A lot of COVID stuff in here still. So that's interesting. You can look through it. It's just kind of matter of fact stuff. One thing that I check every day is this area down here called Recently Trending. I typically do this in the morning just to see what people are searching for online and what's going on. And it can be everything from pop culture, actors, sports stars, things like that, to health and safety things. There was a winter storm warning in the Northeast, and we were having some heavy winds throughout the Midwest. So, those were trending topics. The Spider-Man movie's about to come out. So that's trending. Steph Curry just broke an NBA record for three-pointers. So that's trending. And you can go in here and look back and see other popular search terms day by day here. And it tends to focus on U.S. search. There are global topics as well. As defaults to the U.S., but you can go and look at various countries. You can look at real-time trends and then the daily trends as well, which is really kind of cool to dig through. And on this day, big story, Urban Meyer got fired, and something is going on with the New Zealand national cricket team. Oh my God. Lottery story, that was another big one. So, it depends on the news day. Sometimes it's more pop culture. Sometimes it's more breaking news stories. So let's go back to the home page for Google Trends. The real power of this tool happens up here in this search field up here. This is where you can make your queries. So I'm going to show you a couple of different ways you can use this. You can go back in time and look at something, or you can look at something breaking, in the past week or so. And for your assignment, you can do either. You can do something historical or do something that's a little more current. So let me go back in time here. We're going to go back to the 2016 election. Typed in Hillary Clinton, and I'm going to select search term. There's subtopics down here for, Secretary of State, First Lady, Senator, things like that. We'll do just a broad search term. Think of it as her name in quote marks. It defaults to U.S. search over the past 12 months, and it's a web search. I can, choose YouTube or YouTube image search or Google News or Google Shopping if I'm doing products. I'll type in Donald Trump over here. And again, this isn't going to really tell us much. In 2021, both of them, outside of the insurrection over here, neither one of them were really, searched that much or as much as they once were. But I can go back in time. See where it says past 12 months? I can go back 2004 to present if I wanted to, but I'm going to do a custom time range. Click on that and select full year. Instead of 2021, I'm going to go back to 2016, which was the election year. Hit OK. Now I've got something that's kind of interesting. Trump led Clinton in Google search pretty much the entire election year, except for right here, September 11th, the week of September 11th, when Hillary passed out at the 9/11 memorial. This was the Democratic National Convention. The Republicans convention was right here. This was the FBI investigation when they released the information about the emails in early June. So those were the only times she surpassed him in Google search. It's quite telling. To embed this, it's got embed code. It won't work, unfortunately, in Google or in your Medium accounts. So you have to do a little workaround with this. You can also share it over your social channels here by clicking the little share button in the upper right. What we'll ask you to do for your homework assignment is to do a screen grab of this graphic, this line chart here. It's also got some maps and other things down here, popular context for the search terms. But what we're worried about is this one up here. If you're on a Mac, you can do Command-Shift-4, and you can paint across and screen grab your graphic. Make sure you get the names at the top, you get the legend in there so we know what the colors are. And it will save the screen grab right to your desktop. Okay, it's out there somewhere. There it is. And then I can always take that into Medium, upload it as a photo. For my cut line, I will take my interactive chart, because I do need to see your interactive chart. You can grab the link here. It's right here at the top. Highlight it. Create a link. Again, don't put the raw text code in. Put the whole, web. Don't put the web address code in. Make it a hot link like this. And then you'll write a few hundred words about that graphic. So you'll be able to pick any topic you want. But this is how you build it. Do the screen grab, and then the cut line. Do interactive chart, so I can click through to it. Then you just publish, and you're good to go. You put your keywords in, all that. Okay. Let's do another one, a little more current. So hit Google Trends in the upper left-hand corner. It takes you back to the home page. And this time we're going to look at some products. This is always a fun one to look at, what sells better, the Android phone or the iPhone phone, which one's searched more on Google. So you can go in and you can type in, let's do the shoe brands. We'll do Nike. Search term. You can only compare search term to search term. You can't compare search term to subtopic. The graphic will actually stop you, or the software will actually stop you from doing so. And make sure you spell it right. If I misspell Under Armour, it's going to give me the misspelled version, not the correctly spelled version. It won't correct the spelling for you. And New Balance. New Balance not doing so well. Under Armour is kind of way down there too. And then Adidas is here. Nike rules the day. You can't always assume, okay, well, Nike, spiked here and seemed to do pretty well here. Go back and look through Google News to see what happened that week with Nike. Was it good news? Did they release a new shoe? Did their stock price soar over here? Did something bad happen to the company? Were they fined by a trade company or something, or trade organization or something, or the federal government investigate them? Why did they spike? You have to look back in time. You can go into Google News and search Nike March 30th, and you can find the reason why. Okay, so no guessing. So here I've got this Command-Shift-4. I'll do my screen grab. On a PC, if you don't have a Mac, it's I think Shift-Control Print Screen or Control Print Screen. You'd have to Google it. I haven't worked on a PC in years, but that's the method. So make sure you've done the screen grab, and then you link to it out of it, just like this with an interactive chart. And then you'll write 200 words. You're going to do 2 of these graphics in one post. Okay. So what I want you to do now is hit the pause button. You can play around with this a little bit and just, kind of get a feel for Google Trends. Then I want you to hit the pause button and go through and read this Google Trends assignment that is linked off your syllabus. read the whole thing, look at the 2 examples from Nikki and Kelsey, and how it will be evaluated. So go ahead and hit the pause button for a minute. All right, welcome back. By now you've read through your assignment. You're going to build 2 Google Trends graphics. Write 200 to 300 words about each graphic, what the analysis is, maybe link off to some background posts. You're going to build them both into one post on your Medium page. You'll do one at the top, and then underneath you'll do a little break, and then a new headline, subhead with it, and then your next graphic. Much like the examples that Nikki and Kelsey had here. This is a really good one. Who searched more? MSNBC, CNN, Fox News. I would have thrown a few other networks in there too. It's kind of interesting. Fox and CNN were really battling it out there. And then she just did a little break here, and then she did Rachel Maddow, who was feuding with Donald Trump Jr., and she did a little more analysis on that. She actually did a couple graphics on it. Okay. So pretty simple assignment. Notice how she links off to background stories about it. But the thing I want you to really focus on here is when she attributes the analysis, you should always attribute it this way: according to an analysis of Google search data on Google search trends. She forgot the word data, but she did a good job here. Okay. It's also on your assignment sheet. If you are missing this and don't have the proper attribution, it's going to cost you a letter grade. So make sure you put the graphic in properly, link to the interactive chart, and have this attribution according to an analysis of Google search data on both of your stories. And then she goes into the analysis. According to an analysis of Google search data on Google Trends, MSNBC has the lowest amount of searches in the last 12 months. Both CNN and Fox News, she should use the number 12 here. 1, 2. We learned that with the writing with numbers. And then she went on with the rest of her analysis. Okay. This one that Kelsey did here, really nice job. According to analysis of Google search data. Remember, dates are abbreviated, NOV period 6. She has her graphic in here. She actually did her attribution up here in the analysis. She should have done it under here, but still, I was able to click off to the chart and see it. Here's her other one underneath it. She's had another subhead here. And you take and you'll tweet this link then once you publish it to the UIC Digital hashtag, and you're good to go. So remember, check at Google Trends Twitter account if you're following it. It's a great way to pick up ideas for the Google Trends assignment. Just see what's going on in the world. A lot of breaking news stories. You can see the analysis, which is searched more, this person or that person, or this topic or that topic. Or you can dig back in time and look back over a period of years at something. So it's really up to you. If you have questions, just reach out to me, email me. If you're unsure of your ideas, you can email me and say, hey, do you think this would work well? I'll let you know right away. Another thing that this tool is good for is search engine optimization, finding keywords too. I use this quite a bit when writing headlines. So I grew up in Nebraska, home of the Cornhuskers football team. We love our football in Nebraska. Huskers is shorter, which is always good for a headline. It's also searched, 4 to 5 times more than, Cornhuskers is. So that make a good keyword for a headline. I'd probably use both in my keywords, in Medium. But Huskers is shorter, and it's also searched a lot more. So, keep that in mind. You can use this tool too for search engine optimization. Remember, a little reminder, this Google Trends exercise is due Monday, February 28th. You already have started or should have started the sports data graphic exercise that's due Friday, February 25th. So you've got 2 assignments to do this week. The good news is you get week 8 off. No class week 8. It's midterms. I'm giving you the week off because I'm a heck of a nice guy. So just these 2 assignments in week 7, the sports data assignment, the Google Trends assignment, a couple of light articles to read, and then we're going to get back together in week 9 and start playing around with Google Earth Pro and Venngage in weeks 9 and 10. That'll be a lot of fun. All right, have a good one.